She thought she was just standing up for a group of helpless kids, never realizing the man quietly sipping coffee in the corner was a CEO who could change her life with one decision. It was a slow Saturday morning at Sunnydale Café, the kind of place where regulars nursed bottomless coffees, and the smell of fresh waffles filled the air. Sophia Lane, 27, wiped down tables with quick, practiced movements, her apron tied tight, her sneakers worn thin. She needed every tip she could get. Every extra hour meant one more bill paid. One more day she could keep her little apartment. At a corner booth near the window, Michael Grant, 41, CEO of Grant Industries, sat quietly, sipping his coffee unnoticed, his ball cap pulled low over his brow. He wasn't here for meetings or contracts today. He was here because he missed realness, because the world he lived in had too much polish and not enough soul. And today, he was about to find something he hadn't realized he was looking for. The door chimed, and a group of kids, about 6 of them, scrappy, laughing, dressed in clothes that didn't quite fit, piled into the cafe. Orphanage kids. Sophia recognized them immediately. They came by sometimes when they saved up enough change to split one big meal. They huddled into a booth, excited but shy, pooling coins on the table. Sophia smiled warmly, bringing over extra menus and talking to them like they were the most important guests in the world. But not everyone was so kind. From across the room, a sharp, entitled voice rang out. "Maybe you should find somewhere else to eat. This isn't a charity kitchen." A woman in a designer coat sneered, loud enough for everyone to hear. The kids froze, shrinking into themselves. Sophia's smile dropped. She set her tray down and walked straight over to the woman's table, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "Ma'am, here at Sunnydale, everyone's welcome. Doesn't matter what's in their wallet. It matters what's in their heart." The woman scoffed, grabbing her purse and storming out. Sophia turned back to the kids, kneeling beside them. "You take your time, okay? And don't you dare feel bad. You're family here." The kids beamed. Michael Grant leaned back in his chair, watching quietly. No PR team had scripted her words. No cameras had demanded her courage. It was real, and it was rare, and Michael knew right then that Sophia Lane wasn't just a good waitress. She was someone who could change the world if someone just gave her the chance. And he was going to be that someone. Sophia ruffled the youngest boy's hair and took their modest order with the same care she gave to her highest-paying customers. She even paid for extra fries out of her own tips, sneaking a wink at them when they cheered. Meanwhile, Michael Grant stayed in his corner, quietly finishing his coffee, but now studying Sophia more closely. It wasn't just her kindness that impressed him. It was her bravery. Most people would have stayed silent, pretended not to hear, or worse, agreed with cruelty to avoid making a scene. But not Sophia. She had chosen the harder road without hesitation. After the kids left, grinning, waving, sticky from syrup and smiles, Michael approached the counter where Sophia was totaling up receipts. He kept it casual, tucking his baseball cap lower. "You handled that well," he said, voice steady but friendly. Sophia looked up, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Thanks. It wasn't really a choice." She shrugged like it was nothing, like the world wasn't full of people who chose to look away. Michael smiled slightly. "You do that a lot. Stand up for people who can't?" Sophia wiped the counter a little harder, almost shyly. "Somebody has to." Michael nodded thoughtfully, slipping a large tip into the jar without making a show of it. "The world could use a few more somebodies like you." He handed her a card, plain white, embossed simply with Michael Grant, Grant Industries. "Call me Monday, I have an idea." Sophia blinked down at the card, confused. Grant Industries? The name sounded familiar. too familiar. By the time she looked up again, he was already out the door, disappearing into the busy morning crowd. She held the card tightly, her heart racing. She had no idea what calling him would mean. But deep inside, she knew. Her life was about to change forever, because kindness wasn't just seen that day, it was about to be rewarded in ways she never dreamed. The following Monday, Sophia stood nervously in the massive glass lobby of Grant Industries, feeling wildly out of place in her thrift store dress and scuffed shoes. Polished executives in sharp suits buzzed past her, but no one looked twice. Until Michael Grant himself stepped out of the elevator. No suit, no tie, just a simple shirt, and that same quiet, steady look from the café. He smiled warmly and motioned her over. "Sophia, thanks for coming." He led her into a small, sunlit conference room. Nothing fancy, nothing intimidating, and offered her a seat. Sophia sat, her heart pounding in her ears. "I wanted you to come," Michael began, "because what you did the other day, that's the kind of character you can't teach. It's who you are." Sophia shifted in her seat, unsure what to say. Michael slid a folder across the table. "I run a community division. Grant programs, shelters, youth support centers. Problem is, most people who run them don't know what it's like to be on the ground. They manage from spreadsheets, not from heart." He smiled. "You have heart." Inside the folder was a full-time offer. Community Relations Manager. A generous salary. Paid training. A relocation bonus if she needed it. The job wasn't just about paperwork. It was about leading programs to protect kids like the ones she defended. About shaping shelters that felt like homes, not charity. About building something real. Sophia stared at the papers, overwhelmed. "But I don't have a degree," she whispered. "I'm just a waitress." Michael leaned forward, his voice firm but kind. "You're not just anything, Sophia. You're exactly who these kids need to see leading the way. You already know what matters most. The rest we can teach." Tears blurred Sophia's vision, but she blinked them away fiercely. For the first time in a long time, someone saw her not as broken, not as someone stuck, but as someone who could build something better. And for the first time, she believed it too. Accepting the offer wasn't a hard decision. It wasn't stepping into something new. It was stepping into the future she was always meant for. A future built not on privilege, but on pure, unstoppable kindness. 6 months later, Sophia stood on a small stage at the grand opening of the Grant Foundation Youth Center. Not as a waitress, not as someone forgotten in the background, but as director of community programs, the beating heart behind the new mission to protect, uplift, and empower kids who had once been invisible to the world. She wore no designer dress, no flashy jewelry, just a simple blazer and a warm smile that stretched from ear to ear. And in the front row, sitting proudly among dozens of beaming children, was Michael Grant. Sophia spoke into the microphone, her voice strong but trembling with emotion. "This center isn't about charity. It's about dignity. It's about making sure no kid is ever told they don't belong, because everyone deserves someone willing to stand up for them, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hard." Applause thundered through the room. Kids clapped. Volunteers wiped their eyes. And in that moment, Sophia wasn't just telling her story. She was passing it forward. A framed photo hangs inside the youth center lobby today. A snapshot of that day. Sophia kneeling beside a group of smiling kids, her arm draped protectively around their shoulders. The plaque underneath reads, "True leaders aren't made by titles. They're made by the moments they choose to stand up for others, when no one else will." Because Sophia Lane didn't just find a job, she found her calling. All because on one ordinary day, in one tiny café, she chose kindness over comfort, and someone powerful enough to change everything chose to believe in her.